All right, got the questions. Guess Naruto fan didn't have any this week. Hey Kevin, it's time for Ask GameSpot.
All right, I'll be there in a minute.
Come on, Kevin, it's time for Ask GameSpot.
All right, I'm ready. I just had to figure out how to spend my skill point. Oops. GameSpot readers, GameSpot viewers, welcome to another episode of Ask GameSpot. I'm Kevin Van Ord, and this week we're here to talk about Path of Exile. Now this game's been in beta for a while, but last week it had its full launch with 3 full acts, and I have Eric Tay with me, ultimate Path of Exile expert, to answer all of your questions and my questions about Path of Exile. First question I'm going to ask you. Now, I've been playing Path of Exile now for the week, but I haven't been able to try out the Scion class because that doesn't unlock until you finish the game at least once, if I'm right.
That's
correct? Okay, so tell me more about what this class does and what it means.
Okay, as you said, just to reiterate, Scion class is not unlockable. It's unlocked after you beat normal, so you have to play through it one time. The reason why they actually have you play through one time is because the Scion starts right in the middle of the skill tree, the ginormous skill tree. She's right smack dab in the middle. Now that actually makes her unique, but also a little bit harder to play because she can branch off to so many different areas, and so if you play a normal class first through the game, you get to experience like something that's more tailored, like, you know, Marauder's more strength-based or a Ranger's more agility-based, right. But a Scion, she can actually go, you know, up to get intelligence, or you can bring her down and get agility. You can even make her a summoner if you want, or you can have her wield a two-hander and do it that way, or you can even put a bow on her because she can go in different paths. Like I said, it is harder because you have to make a choice. The problem is, though, it's harder for her to get further out in the tree because she's so much further away than the other classes. That's kind of what makes her different, and that's why you probably want to play through normal one time, just so you get a feel for how to play that character and then kind of build a more advanced character in the Scion.
Awesome. So a blank slate character right there for the Scion. Almost anything you want her to do, but not necessarily perfect in every respect if you want to really specialize.
That's correct.
All right. You're probably tired of hearing everybody in the chat in Path of Exile talk about Diablo 3. This is better than Diablo 3. This is worse than Diablo 3. All right, so whatever your feelings about Diablo 3, how is the loot system in Path of Exile? How does that actually differ from Diablo 3 or the games like this that we're used to playing?
Okay, you know, most notable difference, of course, is there is no auction house, which was something that, you know, that's why a lot of people are saying, oh, this is maybe better than Diablo 3 for some people. So you can't just buy your items, right? So you're either getting them via drops from mobs, or they have a very in-depth crafting system where you can actually, you know, take a white item that you find on the floor and use the orbs that you find, which are, you know, currency, and you can manipulate those items to tailor to the character that you're playing. Sometimes it takes more than one roll, and that's kind of the fun of the loot in this game, is that, you know, there are a lot of different crafting orbs that do different things to your weapons. So, you know, some things add affixes or suffixes, so you get like lightning damage or fire damage. And so you can keep crafting until you get the specific weapon or armor that fits your character best, or maybe for another one of your characters. So that's kind of one of the big differences about it. And I would also say another big difference, a key difference later on in the game, is that there's actually a reason to pick up white items, where in Diablo 3, you kind of just leave it on the floor because you don't need to sell it. And also, that's another big thing, right? There's no gold. There's no gold in the game.
I think also pointing out what you had to say about the fact that there's no gold, it does mean that a lot of items that have use other than currency are still currency. So for example, if you need to identify an item, the scroll that does that is not only just an identification scroll, but it's also a piece of currency that you would turn in to actually buy weapons, armor, and so forth. So Eric, you can play on your own if you want. There's no need necessarily to hook up with other people, although as with, say, an MMO, you still see like chat, and you can see different chat channels and so on and so forth. So in that respect, it does have a sense of community even when you're alone. But let's say I want to venture with other players. How exactly does that work? How is it put together?
Okay, there's a couple of things with multiplayer. I guess the first and foremost thing that we should talk about is there are different ladder systems. And so depending on which ladder you play in, you're generally only going to see the people in that ladder. So there is the two new ones that came out with the game last week. There is Domination and Nemesis. Domination is more of like your soft core ladder, where it allows you, like, if you die, no big deal, and one of the fun things about that ladder system is they have the shrines where you can pick them up and use those against your enemies, whereas it used to actually like affect you and harm you. And then the Nemesis is, your hardcore ladder where you can actually die, and if you die, it just goes into their kind of like normal non-ladder kind of server.
Right.
In that one, the rare mobs have a Nemesis modifier that's like really, really strong, or like really, really hard, that makes it harder for you. So anyways, depending on which ladder you're in, you're only going to be able to see those people. But back to the partying and all that, you don't, like you said, you don't have to play solo. But the game is kind of a game where, as you play with the party, it can actually enhance your experience, of course. You could have one person running, auras, and that's all they do. They're not really offensive, but they help buff you and maybe your minions, and like there's a lot of depth in that regard. So like, you might need some tanks in the front, so you have your melee marauder or something, and then you have a ranger. So it definitely can enhance your experience, but it's not necessary, but it does add to the fun. And then on top of that, they have guilds now. They introduced guilds, which is kind of interesting. The one big thing about the guilds is that if you are in a guild, you can actually chat with each other no matter what ladder system you're in, which is really cool. They've actually introduced more PvP. They actually have a capture the flag now, which is either 3v3 or 6v6. Kevin, you've been asking all the questions, but guess what? I have the most important one.
How can that be possible? How is that possible?
Just you wait. When is the review for Path of Exile? Yeah.
That's a very good question, and we will see. No, that is a good question, because with a game like this, you never necessarily know how long it's going to take me. I did play some of the beta, but I did not play lots of the beta. I waited for the game to find its official release date before I really wanted to start to play in earnest. So I have already started playing. As of the time you're watching this is Monday. So you should be seeing a review in progress come up from me today. Hopefully within a week, I'll be able to pass on some final judgment on Path of Exile. I will say at this stage, however, that I would say it's the game that I wanted Diablo 3 to be, but wasn't. I'm having a really, really fantastic time, and I think it's one of the best games of this type I've played in a very, very long time, and that is coming from somebody who has played Diablo 3 and Torchlight 2. In recent times. So Eric, thanks for stopping by and talking about Path of Exile with me. And of course, thanks to all of you for joining in. If you have questions about Path of Exile or really anything else, you can type them down in the comment box below. Use @GameSpot on Twitter if you have questions and want to ask them that way. Go to our Facebook page and ask them there. For whatever it's worth, we want to hear what you have to say. And until next time, I guess I should thank Eric, I should thank Andy behind the camera, and thank all of you. We'll see you very, very soon.